Welcome back to Sydney with its majestic Opera House and Harbour Bridge. So let's start the show! Right, Paul. So we need to check the train departures to get to the Opera House.
So I guess we need to go to Circular Quay.
Right, so platform 6, the T2 in 4 minutes. So I think we could make that.
Yeah.
And we should be able to just tap on with our chase cards. So platform 6, the T2, let's go. Ooh, it works.
6 is over there.
Right. Wow, this is quite busy. I mean, from the point of view that there's lots of platforms and lots of stuff going on.
It is rush hour.
Yes, it is. It's 8:30 in the morning, Monday. Everyone's heading off to work. Not us. Platform 6. So this train might be quite full, which is why we're using the stealth glasses, and people probably think that I'm just walking along and talking to myself. Oh, that looks like some sort of commuter train transport, Sydney trains. I think what we're getting is more like a subway train. I could be wrong. This is not ours, but this is our platform. Yeah, so here we are, platform 6.
The next train to arrive on platform 6 goes to Redfern. First stop, Wynyard, then Circular Quay, St James, New Zealand, Central and Redfern.
Right, so we've got 2 minutes to wait here, Paul. Look at the size of that double-decker train there. It's huge. Well, it looks as though it is a big train that we're getting then as well.
It's 8 carriages.
Wow, double decker. I imagine a lot of people will get off here, but you never know. Upstairs. So these seats move depending on the direction of travel.
Yeah.
So we're coming into Circular Quay.
This is near the harbour.
Yeah, near the harbour. We've got a tram down there. Oh, look over here, Paul.
Oh.
Choose your way out, I suppose.
I think we have to touch in and also touch out.
Ah, well, we'll find out in a few moments. Let's just wait for this train to leave. A few stragglers getting on with their suitcases down there. It's emptied out now. Let's go this way. Lots of steps going down. See, you can get to the airport from here. Buses, light rail, ferries. So we have to tap. We tap out, do we? Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's good. It let me out. Sydney Opera House via the East Circular Quay. So we've just come out of the station. Paul's gone to the toilet, and over here it's the first glimpse of some boats. This is Circular Quay, so it looks as though there's probably some commuter ferries and tourist boats that do little tours of Sydney Harbour. And the first thing that I would say is that I can smell the sea, and it is wonderful. Oh wow!
Right?
You're right, Sydney Harbour Bridge, our first glimpse of it. It's right over there. But first of all, I think we need to go to
Where?
the Opera House.
Where's that? Is it over here?
It's over there. Let's get going. Well, the forecast had originally said rain for today,
Oh,
but now it just says thick cloud, which is sort of right at the moment. It's about...
it feels cold.
You feel cold? It's actually, I feel warm. It's 23 degrees Celsius.
I feel cold.
And there is quite a high humidity. Now, I am really nervous about getting bitten after what happened in France.
Oh.
Bitten by insects, that is, not vampires. So we are wearing bug spray that I bought at Boots before we left. I put it on my arms, and then on my head I've got sunscreen. And in the first episode, I think we said that the taxi driver said, oh, you've got to get 60 SPF. We could only find 50, which is probably what he meant, to be honest.
Is this the famous bridge? I think so, right?
Yeah.
Looks huge.
Well, if it's not, we're going to look a bit stupid, aren't we? But what I would say is, look at the size of that P&O ferry.
Oh god.
It's absolutely massive. It looks almost bigger than the bridge.
So this bridge is very recognizable. Kind of like the Brooklyn Bridge in New York, right?
Well, we hope it's recognisable. Imagine it's not the Sydney Harbour Bridge. Well, this is Sydney Harbour and it's a bridge, so it's a pretty good bet that that's it. Here's something interesting that we've spotted along the way. Rudyard Kipling. Sydney was populated by leisured multitudes, all in their shirt sleeves and all picnicking all the day. They volunteered that they were new and young but would do wonderful things someday. Rudyard Kipling visited Sydney in 1891. A prolific writer of verse and stories, including the 2 volumes of The Jungle Book, he had a strong influence on Australian poets like Banjo Patterson. Look behind you, Paul.
Wow.
Look at the size of those buildings in the CBD. Now, I was just saying to you earlier that what really strikes me about Sydney, the sheer size of it, it reminds me of an American city, just because of the buildings and the vastness of it. But the feel is completely different. It feels more European. And you know something? I think that is just the perfect blend, if you ask me. I can't get over the size of this boat, this ship, this cruise liner. It's called the Pacific Adventure. And I counted 11 stories on there. I bet there's a lot of stories have been told on that particular vessel. Wow, look at the palm trees. I know that we do have palm trees in the UK, but here you really are in a tropical destination. And it's Monday morning, people are rushing to work, and the streets are being cleaned at the same time. And here is our very first, I was going to say pigeon, Seagull. He's running away from me. Off you go. Where are you going? Look,
Oh my
our first
God.
glimpse just around the corner of the magnificent Sydney Opera House. Look at that.
Wow.
Let's just keep this running as we walk up to get our very first view of it. And while we're filming this, it's the 11th of November, Armistice Day. And remember what you saw on the news this morning?
Remembrance.
Yes, the whole Opera
Poppies?
House was lit up with a fantastic display of poppies. So that was just before sunrise this morning. And it's been daylight since about 6 something,
Yeah.
I think. And it should stay light until roughly 7:45 tonight. But there we are. Look at that, the Sydney Opera House. Well, Paul, what can you tell us about the Sydney Opera House?
Welcome to Gadigal land. The Sydney Opera House stands on Tabago, the land of the Gadigal clan. Honoring Aboriginal protocol, we warmly acknowledge the custodians of Gadigal country and pay respects. A welcome to country is a customary greeting that our First Peoples extend to visitors, who in turn agree to respect the traditional laws and culture of country. Welcome to Gadigal country.
Designed by Danish architect Jorn Utzon, the Sydney Opera House was selected through an international competition in 1957. The construction began in 1959 and was completed in 1973, taking 14 years longer than initially planned. The iconic roof features over 1 million tiles made of white and cream ceramic and is composed of a series of large shell-like structures. The Opera House is home to multiple performance venues, including the Concert Hall, Drama Theatre and Playhouse. It was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2007, recognised for its architectural significance. Situated on Bennelong Point, the Opera House overlooks Sydney Harbour and is one of the city's most recognisable landmarks. The site hosts numerous tours, events and performances, attracting of millions of visitors each year. So we are walking underneath the Opera House now, so we'll come out the other side and that might be where we get a more traditional view. Well, if you are visiting the Opera House, there's also a shop and toilets down here that you can visit, and that's always very handy.
Forget about the Sydney Opera House. This is the Sydney Opera Mouse.
This landing area, erected for the Royal Navy, was taken over by the Royal Australian Navy in 1913. For 150 years, man-o-war steps served as a landing and embarkation point for men of the British and Australian fleets in peace and war. Well, we have a map here, Paul, of the Botanic Gardens.
Here, do we want to? I don't know how far we should go. So this is another lookout point.
Oh wow.
I don't know.
It looks quite big.
It seems a bit far.
Take a look, Paul.
Oh wow.
What do you see?
Look at that huge ferry right there.
What, that little thing? Wow, look at this tree over here. I've never seen anything quite like it. Yeah, it says, first of all, please keep off the garden bed. I need to get closer to see. It's a Queensland bottle tree. Well, it is shaped a bit like a bottle, I suppose. Southeastern quarter of Queensland, restricted to more fertile soils in drier rainforest types and brigalow scrub. I see bird boxes, number 7, and just behind it looks like a Aboriginal sculpture. Well, when we visited New Zealand in 2023, the thing I was fascinated by was all the different types of trees, the different types of birds, all the sounds, the smells, and it's the same here. Look at these little miniature palm trees, Paul. Slightly windy now, but it's a welcome breeze, and the botanical gardens are now opening up into their vastness. Look at that. I'm interested about this area up here with the stones. That looks like a giant honeycomb or something. I'm sure it's not. And obviously that is man-made, although I think it was. But you just never know, do you? This is fascinating as well. This reminds me of when I was home in Ballymoney. We had a little hedge there where you could sort of hide in. Yeah. Look at that.
This reminds me of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
This type of stuff. Wow, look at this.
It's got the name of it up here. It's a banyan tree. An Indian banyan. You could hide in there. Maybe someone is in there. Well, this is what we were looking at earlier. I said about the honeycomb. Don't know what that is yet. But look at this. It's like little caves. I wonder what it's been designed for. Mountain Devil. New South Wales. Coast from Grafton south to Jervis Bay and tablelands from Blue Mountain south to Budawang Range. In sandy and often stony soils derived from sandstone. In heath to dry eucalyptus forest. The common name refers to the two-horned fruit, bird pollinated. Wow. It's made of stone, isn't it?
I thought this was like made of something else.
What is it? There must be some sort of significance to this. It's all little stones. Australian indigo. And look at this over here as well. Almost looks like bamboo. I don't think it is, but it's an amazing tree. In fact, you could say that that is tremendous.
They look weird.
The birdies?
Look at those weird.
Tweety. She's getting her food, look. I haven't seen too much colour yet, but look, there are some purple flowers up here on this tree. There's a bench with my name on it, Paul. Well, actually, I hope my name's not on it, because if your name's on a bench, it usually means you're dead, right? Oh, there was, oh dear, look. There might have been a name on it, but it's gone. Time to sit down, I think, and relax. Take the weight off our feet and the baggage off our backs. Take it all in, Paul.
That thing. But it looks so small.
Well, I thought that this was a bird's nest, but no, it's a bee box. Look, Sydney stingless bees. Is that what it is? I don't know. Anyway, Paul, here we are at the Aboriginal statue, and there's some information here. What does it say? This slit drum from the island of Ambrym in Vanuatu was presented by the Australian Friends of Vanuatu in July 1992. Known as Ambrym as a ting-ting, slit drums were traditionally used for beating dance rhythms, transmitting messages or summoning villagers to meetings. Oh, right. So maybe it's not Aboriginal at all, but it's from Vanuatu. Yes, I know that we probably seem extremely naive, so just leave a message in the comments as to what it actually might be. Well, we know it's from Vanuatu and it's a slit drum.
I think this has water. Tap water. Yum.
Do you see what I see, Paul? Isn't that like a giant bird cage? They must be lovebirds. Well, I said earlier that we haven't seen much colour, but we did see purple, and now we're seeing orange. More purple here. I've seen a couple of wasps as well. I don't want to get stung. Isn't this similar to what we had in our garden?
Oh, those little buds.
Yeah, but just in a different form. So I thought that I saw bamboo trees before, and then I thought, no, it's not. But you've just looked down here, and there's lots of bamboo. So this is bamboo, isn't it, Paul?
Yeah, because that is what pandas like to eat.
Oh, right. Well, you're a panda, is that why you know?
Right, yeah. It looks like we're at a crossroads, but you don't have to be at a crossroads. Why don't you subscribe to our channel? It's Paul and Marcus, and then you will be notified as soon as we have great content coming your way. So please subscribe.
I really like the way we can see the train behind us there. It kind of reminds me a bit of Woodside in New York, although that was noisier. Well, we're just taking a stroll right around Sydney Harbour by the marina, I suppose, the docks, and you can see the Pacific Adventure rather closer now. Absolutely huge vessel. So we are approaching an area called the Rocks, and there are shops and restaurants and I believe a market as well, probably where these stalls are. So the market's not on today, it's a Monday. It's probably like a weekend thing. But from here you can also get a really good view of the Opera House. Look at that! Look at the bird! I've got no idea what it is, but that lady just shooed it away. This is an interesting monument here, and there's information about it as well, with a really interesting word that I can tell you something about. It's called The Beacon by Robert Clipple, the gift of James Fairfax to the people of Sydney to commemorate the sesquicentenary of Sydney in 1992. Well, I said there was a really interesting word there.
What is that?
Sesquicentenary. Do you know what it means, Paul?
No.
It means the 150th anniversary of something. And I'll tell you why it's interesting for me. Because I used that word when I appeared on the TV quiz show Catchword in 1990. One of the rounds was they gave you 3 letters that appeared in a certain sequence, and you had to come up with the longest word. And that sequence came up for me, whatever the 3 letters were, and I came up with that word and got points for it. And the only reason I knew it was because I worked with this chap called Tommy Roycroft at my first job at the Korean Chronicle. He just passed away in his 90s actually, a few years ago. And he did the church notices and church reports for the paper. And the 150th anniversary of churches would come up fairly regularly, and he would always have to use the word, well, he didn't have to, but in those days, back in the 90s, you would use the word sesquicentenary. Today, you would probably just say the 150th anniversary.
Do they turn here because they can't go beyond this point? That's what I noticed cars doing, that they're like turning here.
Oh, I see. Cars can't go beyond this bit. I have to say, these buildings are absolutely gorgeous. There's just something really, I don't know even how to describe it, otherworldly about them, I suppose. I'm not even sure what sort of style you would put these into. What do you think, Paul?
I think it's partial European, but then partly not. Like that color of the hotel, like that looks a bit like from the, I don't know, 1890s or something. Like it looks kind of old, but it's not.
I think a lot of these buildings are actually from the late 1800s. Because I've seen 18 whatever on a few of the buildings in the CBD. We're down at the Harbour area, so it's probably a similar era. Oh, Paul? Yeah? Paul? Where are you? What are you doing? Well, after all that walking around, I'm absolutely parched, so I think we need a drink. And there's a choice. Either Starbucks or the Fortune of War, which claims to be Sydney's oldest pub. So which one do you think we do? Oh, it's the pub.
So this is the Byron Bay beer.
And this is the Tooheys New. And we learnt something today, that they come in 3 sizes, a midi, a schooner and a pint. Not a half. I'm not really sure what sizes these are, like what the actual contents is. So let us know in the comments. Well, I've got some interesting facts about the Sydney Harbour Bridge. The bridge was completed in 1932 after 14 years of construction, involving around 1,400 workers. It is a steel arch bridge designed by Australian architect John Bradfield and is the largest of its kind in the world. The bridge stands 134 metres, 440 feet above the harbour, and spans 1,149 metres, 3,770 feet in total length. It accommodates road vehicles, trains, bicycles and pedestrians, making it a vital transport link in Sydney. The Sydney Harbour Bridge climb offers adventurous visitors the chance to ascend to the top for stunning views of the city. The bridge is painted in a colour known as Sydney Grey, chosen to complement the natural environment and withstand harsh weather. The bridge is a focal point for events like New Year's Eve fireworks and Vivid Sydney Light Festival.
Yeah, I can understand.
Yes, thank you. Cheers. Rich?
Yeah. Didn't you have 3 kids with you? Wow, Paul. So we are now on the Sydney Harbour Bridge walkway.
Wow.
There's a road going across the bridge, really noisy. Remind you of anything?
Brooklyn Bridge?
Yeah. And I was just remarking that there's some really interesting architecture. Look at that over there, those flats. It looks as though it's been made out of shipping containers, I would say, because they're all kind of blocky. So it looks as though we're going to cross the bridge, Paul.
Yeah, I didn't think that we were going to do this.
Well, sometimes, you know, doing things on the spur of the moment adds a little bit of added zest to the episode.
Lanterns, Marcus.
Yeah. Wow, look at that, Paul. I think the walk across the bridge was worth it for this view.
I think this is priceless.
It was starting to rain, but actually it seems to be easing off again. Maybe we are in luck for some more dry weather today.
Hopefully.
Well, that's the view of the Opera House that I was talking about earlier on. We're not on the river, but we're on the other side. So anyway, we hope that you have enjoyed today's episode.
For those of you that have liked today's episode, give us a thumbs up. For those of you that haven't subscribed already, hit the subscribe button. And for those of you that want to leave a comment, please do so as well. And
if you'd like to buy us a coffee to help us along the way or to help us cross bridges, then there is a link in the description. And we'll see you next time.
bye.
Bye.